Here at Pride in Mind, we want you to know that you are never alone. No matter your gender identity, expression, or sexual orientation, your story matters.
People in the LGBTQ+ community experience mental health issues at higher rates.
A recent study found 61% have depression, 45% have PTSD, and 36% have an anxiety disorder.
40% of transgender individuals have attempted suicide in their lifetime. This is nearly 9 times the overall rate in the United States.
Hi, my name is Matthew Casey. I am 29 years old and I am a cisgender male.
Hi, my name is Jace. I'm 26 years old. I'm a trans man, otherwise known as FTM, which stands for female to male.
Hi, my name is Aaron. I use they, them pronouns. I'm 21 years old, and I identify as non-binary or just gender neutral.
Hi, my name is CJ. I'm 24 and I identify as transgender, female to male.
My name is Alexa. I am 26 years old. I am female. My pronouns are she, her.
I was first introduced to the LGBTQ+ community middle school, 8th grade to be exact. I just transferred out of a private Christian academy that my dad was principal of back into public school, and I had a really good friend in my theater arts group. She came out to me as bisexual, and I had no idea what that meant, and she explained to me that she liked both girls and boys, and it clicked.
So when I first came out, the reaction I had from others was definitely very different depending on the person. Fortunately, my family was, for the most part, accepting of it. They still kind of struggle with, like I had changed my name and, used different pronouns than I was assigned at birth. So they're still kind of working on making those changes, but they do still support me and support me in the way I express myself and the way I am, as well as in terms from others. I had friends that weren't so supportive, and so they aren't really in my life anymore. But those that did stick with me have definitely had a lasting impact on me, and are friends that I still have to this day.
Having grown up in Chicago, which has Boys Town, and we lived in Andersonville, which is a gay hub in Chicago, I would often see people walking down the street holding hands, but you don't second guess it as a kid until one day you recognize, oh, I am one of those people too. And then at some point in time, someone labels it as a negative thing in your youth. And it's not until it's labeled that suddenly you realize, maybe this isn't something in my adolescence that I should be discovering and making known about me.
So I technically really have never come out as pansexual to a lot of people, but my partner and my fiance is transgender, female to male, and I have never really looked at him as anything less of a man that he is. So I know I had questions from family members on my sexual orientation when they learned that he was transgender, that I answered as, I love who I love. Anatomy doesn't define that, and I could probably say that he is one of the best men that anybody could be.
I remember in middle school people suggesting it, and by suggestions I mean asking blatantly, are you gay? And because once again it was a time where it wasn't so apparent in our society, in films and in television and in music and in pop culture, it was an other. And when you're growing up and you want to be accepted just as being a human being, let alone being gay, you hide yourself from things that will harm you. So when people are labeling you and are asking you these questions that would put you as part of the other, you deflect.
How did others act when I first came out? It was ugly. It was very, very ugly. I was 15 when I first told my dad that I think I might be bisexual, and he cried in my room with me and told me he would pray for me, and we never talked about it again. 3 years later, my mom found out and thought I was perverted and I was going to hell and that I was disgusting. So I kind of shied back a little bit and went back into the closet and just didn't talk about it.
Coming out affected my mental health more as though, like, I thought no one was going to accept me. And I was just so, like, wanting to be accepted that it was putting me down because I felt like no one would ever accept me.
It wasn't until I went to high school and was involved in a magnet arts school called the Educational Center for the Arts in New Haven that upon arrival, it was sort of like Elphaba in the musical Wicked on Broadway. She goes to the Emerald City and suddenly it's just somewhere that she was meant to be. It's where she belonged. It was where she could be her true authentic self. And for me, going to an all arts high school, a magnet school, where everyone there was open and was free to express who they were, was the moment that I realized for me to be able to be a part of the community that I was supposed to be a part of, that I said, this is who I need to be now. And the reactions were visceral. They were different for everybody. Some people just said, okay, let's move on. And I lost friends because of it. And I had conflictions in my family for a while. But you grow up and you recognize that there are certain parts of yourself that you don't have to hide from, and you are more than your sexuality.
Transitioning definitely affected my mental health. I would say I was really depressed because, again, I didn't think my family would accept me. Even dating-wise, I didn't know, like, how I could just say, like, I'm transgender without being denied or anything. So I was at my low point in my life transitioning, but I was more like getting to the point where I was starting to love myself that I didn't care, and I became more confident.
Coming out has affected my mental health in 1,001 ways. It is liberating, it's freeing, it's I get to be exactly who I am, and without barriers. I don't have to decide, oh, when I walk into this location, I have to act a certain way, or when I meet this person, I have to hide this part of my identity. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't come up in conversation. At my place of employment, where I've been for almost a decade, I have never had to say that I am gay. I work with young students, and every year when we get to 5th grade, and they have their puberty lesson, there is always at least one child who has the cojones to come up and say, or ask me the question, Mr. Casey, are you gay? And a very wise mentor to me, the first time I was asked it, I sort of walked away from the situation without even answering, which was probably not good. But my mentor said to me, you respond with a question back of, would it matter if I was or wasn't? And after I started posing that question back to the kids, the immediate response wasn't even defensive. It was just a straight no. And so then it doesn't matter to answer the question. So my mental health in coming out has allowed me to not have to worry about a huge component of my life.
How do I react to those who oppose the LGBTQ plus and queer community? Back then, I threw the same energy that they threw at us, violence and hatred. Now that I'm older and a little bit wiser, and I want to say I'm more seasoned in as an adult, I just don't give them the time of day. Love is love. It's not a sin or a crime or disgusting or perverted who you love or how you identify. The most beautiful thing in this world, in my opinion at least, is to be your true authentic self, no matter what that is.
In my world, I am building up this castle that is me, and if I allow somebody's bombs to hit my castle and destroy me, and I have to live with the destroyed castle, then they've won. And chances are, you're never going to see that person again. And they're going to go live their shitty life without the celebration of all that is human. There's a really great quote about gay pride, which is, we don't have gay parades to celebrate being gay. We have gay parades to uplift us from the decades and decades of silence and finally being able to come out into the world and be celebrated. And it's great to have that community of people who value us enough to say, you deserve this.
If I could tell myself one thing when I first came out, it would be to not be afraid and to just be more confident with coming out to anyone, I would say.
One thing that I would say in particular is keep the faith. Keep holding on. Keep pushing forward. You're going to help so many people in your lifetime. Keep going.
If I can tell myself one thing, it would probably be not to listen to other people. For instance, when I first was asked by my now fiance to go on our first date, he was actually outed by a coworker, and I didn't think that was fair, first of all. And second of all, it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or says, because what I feel in my heart and my view of a person doesn't change by how they identify, what their pronouns are, or even by who they love.
If I could tell myself one thing from the day that I came out, or the time that I came out, it would be to do the really corny thing of looking at yourself in the mirror and telling yourself that you love yourself and that you're enough, and that whatever anybody else says or does or harms you in ways that are impactful and might feel like forever in that moment, they go away over time. And ultimately, you are not responsible for anybody's response to you. You are only responsible for what you put out into the world. And the more you love yourself, the more other people love to see that, and the more other people want to be involved with you, the right people.
Hi everyone, my name is Aaron. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm the graduate intern here at the Sage Center. So at the Sage Center, we work to support our LGBTQ+ students through things like educational programming, events, social events, that sort of thing. Some of the services and resources that we offer, one of our big ones is our open door closet. So we have a big collection of clothes, accessories, shoes, all that kind of stuff that students and everyone can take for free. We also have things like gender inclusive housing for the residence halls, as well as preferred name policies and forms for all that. So we don't have any specific counseling services here at Sage. We do work with like counseling services in the Wellness Center to do sort of programming and events to support our students who might be struggling, especially right now during COVID times.
Pride in mind.
Pride in mind.
Pride in mind.
Pride in mind, because we all should be proud of who we are.